Praise the courage to open, to lean toward an idea of sun, even if unmet, to grow into the faith of growth, even against the whispering of rocks, who perhaps do not believe in seeds, who would convince me I'm a lesser version of them, who laugh at my pressing toward a sky I haven't seen, because they have not considered breaking open as growth. Praise the expanse of education, the opening, that can serve as a buoy or a barrier, a boost or a barricade. Tonight, I invite us to consider the alchemy of knowledge, the passing from one hand to the next, and the next, and the next. What have we learned? Where have we learned it? Who do we need to thank? Who do we need to question? When did we first open to greet the sun full-faced? Praise, the wind that carries the future, that launches us into the sky, brings us to new soils where we can sink, dive, and stretch, becoming new, falling freshly in love with the light in someone's eyes turned on, or the light on a new path turned on, and dream after dream made real and blooming. Good evening, everyone. My name is Susie Q. Smith, and I'm a poet who has spent most of my life in Denver. I am the youngest of 4 children, and my siblings and I are all first-generation college graduates. We grew up living mostly with our grandmother, who worked as a surgical technician all day, then came home to take care of a house full of kids, cooking dinner while she made sure we finished our homework. She always made sure we respected the value of education alongside hard work. My big sisters loved playing school and shared their lessons with me as far back as I can remember, so they had me reading at the age of 3. We've always been able to teach the lessons and the legacies that we inherit, and we're always knowing that that's the debt that we owe the future. We've been here a long time, in this sweet soil, soaking. We know the earth, the bounty of our own bodies, how to be the star of stories no one celebrates but us, and we celebrate. The mastery of every moment, the mistakes we manage to survive, the millstones we maneuver, turning everything to dust. Of course, we have learned to walk directly into chaos and have it sit down somewhere. Of course, we have learned to feed ourselves, been growing broad over the earth. We've been nestled against this land long enough to know its language. We sing the terrain and know its name. We've been so close to the earth we were buried. Of course, we know plenty about seeds bursting beneath the surface. When you feel the ground tremble, of course it is us breaking through the ceiling underfoot. We speak mud as first language. We are fluent in the tongue of the buried. There are 1,000 untold stories in every place we've been bound, and we speak them in the language of survivors, in the language of growth, in the language of breaking the crust that would confine us. The poet Lucille Clifton said, "Come celebrate with me that every day something has tried to kill me and has failed." That Lucille Clifton quote was printed on my graduation invitation. It very much defined the journey of my undergrad education. I began my studies at the age of 17, knowing I wanted to study creative writing. On campus, I was disoriented and sometimes struggled to find my place. My peers had so many more resources. My mother lived in Alaska. My father lived in Florida. I lived in Colorado. My best friends moved me into my dorm and even sent me coffee money when they could. And while the social adjustment was challenging, I thrived academically and loved diving into rhetoric and philosophy and discussing logic, and it was all very exciting. And my professors met my enthusiasm with enthusiasm. And after making pretty easy A's for most of my life, I was really excited about the challenge and the new rigor. I remember distinctly after turning in a sonnet I'd written, getting back the note that one of my lines was not quite dactylic, and I was over the moon. I had never had someone take my poems so seriously. After a single semester in the dorms, my father was laid off and unable to pay the tuition, which I learned as I was trying to register for spring semester. I also learned that I didn't qualify for student loans because I couldn't be considered an independent student, in spite of the fact that my parents lived on opposite ends of the country and weren't financially supporting me. This left me not only needing to drop out, but also finding another place to live. Fortunately, the same friends who moved me to campus came and helped me move back to Denver. Back home, I began working for a civil rights organization. I fell in love with the work and with one of my coworkers. We got married, had a child, and pretty promptly divorced. So as a 22-year-old solo parent, I worked in an office by day and returned to community college 2 nights a week and spent the rest of the time with my daughter. And after many, many years of writing and performing, teaching, raising my daughter, I finally completed my undergrad education at the University of Colorado at Denver. With the support of the Reicher Scholarship and the Single Parent Scholarship, I graduated with honors in 2014. Thank you. Now, I'm the author of 3 collections of poetry. My poems have been shared on stages for millions of people. I've given 2 TED Talks, spoken at colleges and universities all over the country, and run national literary conferences and festivals. I'm affiliate faculty with Regis's Mile High MFA program, also with DU's Prison Arts Initiative and Lighthouse Writers Workshop. I've spent nearly 15 years teaching people to love and value their own expression. From middle schools to hospitals to detention centers and graduate schools, I teach my students that poetry is important, that our voices are necessary, that our expression keeps us alive and our imagination creates the future. And in the future, on that road ahead, I imagine what we can make possible together. The life we can open, juicy as ever, where everyone is loved and cared for, and all have enough to eat, beautiful and safe shelter, clean air and water. In the future we build, we share generously, knowing there is always more than enough for everyone. We are kind and creative. We live in harmony with each other and our environment. We are healthy, well-educated, and joyful. We live in peace. In the future, it smells like the first dirt awakening in early spring at the thaw. There is honey on the wind. The gardens are rich. Soil is black with the wealth of possibility. The greens so hued they're almost purple at twilight. There are children running, twirling, laughing and clapping their hands, spinning until they collapse with glee, dreaming new and even better worlds. We know the road here was not always clear. Sometimes people laughed hard in our faces while they spat the word impossible at our feet as we talked about our future and the world we were building. We kept going. After all, what else was there to do? What other way but onward? We sang as the new world emerged, a cranberry red in the east. We made it. We laughed into each other's shoulders. We're here. The world we always knew we could build. We made it together. Thank you. And without further ado, please welcome your MC for the evening, Serene Singh.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 2022 Benson Society Gala. We are live. We are in person. And doesn't it feel good? My name is Serene Singh. I'm a CU alum, a Coloradan, and currently a Rhodes Scholar, currently studying at the University of Oxford. That is, until I get my British accent. And then I will promptly be returning with a cup of tea in one hand and my PhD in the other to you all, my CU family. I am so honored and elated to be your MC this evening. Please, before we start anything else, let's give Susie a big warm thank you for her wonderful performance. Around 2 years ago, I was first asked to be your MC for the 2020 Gala when I had started my degree at the University of Oxford. But as we know, the world said to us, we will see you in 2 years instead. But alas, we are here now, and I am so, so excited. So on behalf of CU, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for being in attendance tonight. Because of all of your hard work, and because of your care, your generosity, and your dedication to CU, we are here today, celebrating once again for 2022. And I'm so thankful for everything that you do for CU. You build bright futures for students, you support our most talented researchers and our leaders, and you help us transform healthcare within and throughout our communities. We recognize that every single day, Later, we will hear from some very special guests about their CU experience and how their passion for CU is helping sustain their very missions to this day. Now, of course, I am also very deeply passionate about CU, and in preparation of this event, I went to my closet to find the outfit that best encapsulated my gold and black CU pride. And naturally, I landed on the most fitting thing. But don't let my outfit fool you, because as one of my students recently said to me, "Miss Singh, I don't think it really matters what color you wear. Because of your golden skin and your black hair, it's kind of like CU will always be a part of you." I look forward to sharing my journey with CU with you all very soon. I will be back with you shortly. If for any reason you need to find me, I am certain, sure, that you will find a way how. Please enjoy your evening. Good morning, London! I'm kidding. I know it is not morning, and this is not London. I just really wanted your attention. My first name is Serene. Now, whenever I tell anyone my first name, I always get asked the same questions. How do you pronounce it in proper Punjabi? Or, what does your name mean in your authentic Indian exotic heritage? To which I respond, buddy, it's an English word. And that English word, serene, translates to calm. And anyone who's ever met me knows that that word is the last word they would ever use to describe me. You know, probably a more appropriate name for me would have been chaos child or bundle of utter commotion. But my parents chose me to have an uphill battle of introductions for the rest of my life. I love you, Mom and Dad. But my last name, Singh, and I have a bit of a different relationship. You see, Singh translates to lion. It means brave, bold, and deeply courageous. And in my Sikh ancestry, it has remained as much of an action in promise as it has been a concept in theory. You see, I grew up with stories of what it means to be a Singh, to live up to my last name. Let me share with you a few of them throughout our Sikh history. There was Mata Kiviji in the 1500s. India was rife with hierarchies, from untouchables to kings. Mata Kiviji instituted the practice of langar, which is free community kitchen for all people. That single act broke down centuries worth of violence, inequality, and hatred. Then there was the Battle of Sargari, in which 21 Sikh soldiers defended a fort against 24,000 Afghani fighters. It is the only battle in British history where every single member of the Sikh troop was awarded the highest of military honors. The courage to stand up taller, the larger the battle, that's my ancestry. That is what makes a Singh. Then there was Bhai Kanhaiya, whose job was to give water to Sikh soldiers during battles. But he started to give water to those on the opposing side, the enemies. And when was questioned why, he said, "I don't see an us versus them. I see people who need my help, and that is all that matters to me." The courage to step apart from one's group and stand up for one's belief, that is what makes a Singh. Now, I share these stories because if those are the experiences that make a Singh, I might not ever really be able to live up to my last name. But I can guarantee, for most of my life, I was anything but a Singh. You see, I grew up trying to hide everything about myself that made me me. That included my culture, my religion, my personality, my awful fashion sense. everything. Because the idea of standing out, of being different, of being an imposter, was for me the scariest thing. But I told myself that when I finally am able to become a Sing, this is what it would look like. Absurd amounts of confidence and lots of knowledge in different parts of my life that I felt like an imposter in would inevitably lead to success. But this journey has not always been a straight line, and it has not always been comfortable. Because the path I will show you today towards becoming a Sing that CU has helped me find is that it is so much more than just being an imposter. It's about embracing every single thing that that word actually means, including failures and vulnerabilities. Because CU gave me so much more than just a degree. CU revived something deep inside my core, something that has allowed me to rediscover for myself, for the rest of my life, what it actually means to live up to my last name. So let's rewind back to a really tragic time in recent history. 2015 Serene. I had just received the Betcher Scholarship, and I found out that I would be attending CU. I was ecstatic. But when I tell you that I was an imposter, I genuinely mean it, because my family was absolutely shocked that this opportunity could possibly present itself for their kid. Case in point, my father's reaction.
I have some news to tell you.
Yes, tell me.
I won the Betcher Scholarship.
You did?
Yeah.
Oh, let me jump. Let me jump. You
Yeah.
made my day. Oh, my baby. Oh, I wish I was there with you. Oh, I wish I could just pick you up and run away from.
Speaking of picking up and running away, I told myself that when I finally went to CU, I would pick up my Sing identity and run away to reach point B and have inevitable success, right? But I started taking more steps in my life towards actually becoming a Sing. I break those down into 3 main chapters during my time at CU. The first of which, heart, how I serve. The second of which, hands, what I do. And the third of which, head, how I think. So in my first group, my heart chapter, I really wanted to see if I could serve as an imposter, but also as a Sing, in the way that I was able to give back to the community. So that meant immersing myself in places that I did not think I belonged. That included joining a CU sorority, founding my own nonprofit organization at the age of 18 when I had no knowledge of business whatsoever, and also joining pageantry. You see, although I did not belong in any of these spaces, I found so much deep love cultivating courage when I felt it the least. Alpha Chi Omega became a place that I was able to champion women's initiatives across campus. In my nonprofit organization, the Serenity Project, we empower women survivors across the country. And I was able to live out big dreams of mine, like being Miss Colorado and National All-American Miss through pageantry. And I wondered, if I could have such an impact as a Sing and as an imposter in these places where I serve, what could possibly happen if I were to physically put myself in places where I knew historically someone like myself would have never been allowed? And for me, that was the start of my hands journey. For me, that was the very beginning of applying for and becoming a Rhodes Scholar. You see, at every moment in that application and in that entire process, I was reminded that I was an imposter. No person of color and no woman had ever won the Rhodes from CU. And this was actually the Rhodes Scholarship criteria when it began in 1902. Yet somehow, a 5'3", non-athletic, brown Indian girl wearing a Barbie pink jumpsuit before you all doesn't really scream Rhodes Scholar. But, ta-da! Now, see, standing out physically and historically in this meaningful way taught me something so much more important during my time at CU about this hands chapter. It taught me that I had the ability, through my actions, to open up doors I thought previously locked for someone like me, and to hold them even wider, open, for people who might not have otherwise ever wanted to walk through them. And that was such a powerful lesson for me, which followed into my final journey, my head, intellectually. You see, I am continuing to be an imposter at the University of Oxford. My PhD research focuses on the experiences of women on death row in the United States. It is an academic discipline I have no prior coursework in, I have no prior degree in. But yet, every single day, I have the opportunity to humanize and understand the very group of people, women behind bars in prisons, who are serving life, that I was taught growing up I should vilify, fear, and hate. So, I was right. A lot of confidence and a lot of knowledge in various parts of my life that I felt like an imposter in would lead to inevitable success, right? No, because that is not how journeys work. You see, the most important lesson that CU taught me is that the common good actually comes from each of us individually, striving, failing, learning, trying, in our own unique ways as imposters throughout our entire lives. So let's look back at those experiences, but this time with a little bit more of a realistic trajectory. Heart. My entire nonprofit team quit the night before we launched our nonprofit. I joined a CU sorority in my second semester of my senior year of undergrad because of a deep fear of not being accepted. And I failed 7 years in a row at pageantry before I was finally able to win during a global pandemic. Hands. I marked the words roads as spam on my email because I was so certain that any email that could possibly come in with the words roads in it would be a rejection email that I just didn't want to see. I answered the call that was to tell me that I was a finalist for the Rhodes interviews with the following: I don't know who you are. I don't know what you want. But it's 7 a.m. and I'm sleeping. Please do not call this number again. And I did not win a major US scholarship 2 days before I went to compete for the Rhodes Scholarship. In fact, this is me at the airport after I found out I did not win that scholarship. 2 days before I went to interview for the world's most prestigious graduate scholarship. Even now, head, intellectually, in my PhD research, I've just recently failed an important Viva examination, which is a 4-hour examination at Oxford, required for all doctoral research. But that just tells me there's something around the corner. So, okay, what does success actually look like? I started wondering to myself. Now, you see what CU does for students is it takes them from point Y and allows them to really lean into growth and sustaining themselves so that they can reach point Z and become the change makers that they always wish they could be. Because in order for any real wisdom to occur for any of us as imposters in many parts of our lives, the loop of despair must exist for all of us, just as it has done for me. Now, CU rightfully highlights the accomplishments of students like myself, of Nobel laureates, of success stories. But what we rarely see is the way that CU sustains the leaders behind those words, behind those success stories. And that is why I'm here today. Not a sum of my accomplishments, but rather a story of courage. CU taught me that linear paths are really for linear lives, not the type of students that CU graduates. CU taught me that being a Sing is way less about outward courage and way more about inward courage. The ability to be honest about my shortcomings, genuine with my intentions, and appreciative of my failures. CU taught me that with the right playing field, one that provides endless ways to connect, endless opportunities to build community, and endless avenues to celebrate, that I will always fail before I'm able to fly. But that means that when I finally do fly, I will soar even higher. So it's true. My last name, my first name rather, might not ever live up to me, or maybe I won't ever live up to it. But that is actually okay, because it is my Sing that is my compass. That is what guides who I am in this world. And I found for me that being a Sing is, and will continue to be in my life the most beautiful of things. A lot has changed since our inaugural Benson Society Gala 4 years ago, both in CU and in our world. What has remained consistent, however, is CU's mission to public service, to healthcare, to research, and to education. And that commitment starts with our university's leadership. I am pleased now to introduce someone who is the epitome of that very leadership. Someone who holds CU both personally and professionally very close to his heart. President Todd Salaman has been a fixture of that very leadership for over a decade during his time at CU. He believes that one of CU's primary missions and goals is to help students graduate and succeed so that they can go on and venture and benefit the world around them, not just in our community or our state, but also at large. I know because I am one of the students that has benefited from his vision and because of his work, and the hard work that starts with the vision and the promise of leaders just like him. So please, I am deeply honored to bring to the stage and introduce you to all to President Todd Salaman. You ready? Hey!
Well, how about that, huh? How about Serene? So we met at a place you might not expect us to meet. So we met at the State Fair, like a year ago or so. And I think Regent Kroll was there, and I can't remember who else was there. But when I met you, I knew you were something special. And you were there wearing your, whatever it is that you had on that, your pageantry stuff. And I knew that you were going to go places. And it's an incredible thing. So when's the last time we had a Rhodes Scholar before you? It was like 15 years or something, I think. So not only are you the first woman and the first person of color, but you were the first one for quite a long time. So what a wonderful thing. And we're so glad that you're here. Thank you. So I first want to start by introducing my wife, Michelle Siegel, right here in front. And I am just thrilled to be here with all of you tonight. You all are You are the ones who make the magic happen at all of our campuses. And the people who really would like to be here with us tonight aren't. Two of them aren't. And so Bruce and Marcy asked me to send their regrets. There was one thing, Marcy told me to say it just like this. There was one thing that could keep them away from all of us tonight, and that's COVID, and that's what they both have. And so they're doing just fine. I talked to them earlier today, and they sound like they're doing pretty well, but they're getting antsy, as you can imagine, and they wish that they could be here tonight. So they asked me to send their regrets. So I would also, yes, let's give them a hand. Let's give them a hand. So I would also like to introduce some of our regents that are here tonight. So we have the chair of our board, Jack Kroll. We have the vice chair, where's Sue? Right there, Vice Chair Sue Sharkey. We have Regent Alana Spiegel. Where are you, Alana? Right there. And the newest member of our board, Regent Kim Montera. Where are you, Kim? Right here. So welcome to the Board of Regents. I also wanted to introduce two of our chancellors that are here tonight. Chancellor Michelle Marks from CU Denver. Woo-hoo. And Chancellor Venkat Reddy. Where are you, Venkat? Okay, right there. Venkat. So I've been on a little bit of a road show this week. And I've gotten a chance to visit with a lot of people on our campuses, and they ask me a lot of questions. And I learned something along the way, and that's that they appreciate all of you so much. So when I was talking to folks this week, I would talk about the work that we do and the 5 buckets that I put that work into: student success and teaching, research, diversity, equity, and inclusion, and community and community service, and healthcare and our clinical mission. And you all touch each and every one of those things, and you make them special. You make them work. As we all know, state funding for higher education isn't what we want it to be in Colorado, and so we rely on you, on all of you, to really provide that extra fuel for us to do some really extraordinary things. And I see your faces, and I know some of you, and I'm so looking forward to getting to know all of you better. But it really is just so inspiring what you all make possible at each and every one of our campuses. And when we talk about student success, you're a key part of that. When you help us with scholarships to help our students be successful, it's one of our biggest challenges. In fact, we still have $300 million of unmet need for our students out in the CU system, but you all are helping us close that gap, and I'm just so grateful for all you do. So that's really all I wanted to share with you tonight, is just my gratitude for what you do and for helping us reach for the stars and literally, right? Some of you really do help us reach for the stars. So thank you all so much, and I think I am what's standing between us and dinner. So I'm going to stop talking, and please enjoy the evening, and I look forward to visiting throughout the evening and as we move forward into the future. So thank you all very much.
I hope you all are enjoying your dinner and conversation with old and new friends. Tonight, our new members will find Benson Society compasses at their tables. Our members know that the compass symbolizes the very essence and purpose of this society, that we are all on a journey towards improving society together. Earlier, I spoke about the etymology of my name and the importance of a life's journey. The etymology of the compass is important as well. Come for together, and pass for path. Compass. We are reminded that we all choose our own unique individual paths in this life, but collectively, we are all able to lift our world together. As we like to say, it really does point to a true north, the enduring impact that your generosity has on our students and our world. So we thank you. Now, you know as well as anyone the importance that university has in both educating future leaders as well as unearthing new knowledge for research and discovery. And we thank you all for contributing to these two fundamental ingredients of our healthy society. I'd like to now introduce you to a special guest who will help us think about that from his perspective. Our next guest is one of CU's 5 Nobel laureates. He was awarded the honor in 2001 for his work in physics and using lasers to trap and cool atoms. And that, my friends, is the extent my humanity self can explain what he does. So please, help me welcome to the stage Dr. Eric Cornell.
Thank you for the introduction and also for your amazing remarks earlier. That was so wonderful. I'm going to tell you a story of tragic love. It's tragic love that started on a high note, I guess, with the Big Bang. 14 billion years ago, there was famously a Big Bang. Shortly after this Big Bang, the universe expanded and came into existence vast numbers of particles, electrons, protons, neutrons. Yes, those things we know about, but also anti-electrons, anti-protons, anti-neutrons. In fact, in those days, there was way more stuff in the universe than there is today, about 1 billion times more stuff back then there is today. And we're going to find, one of the things we're going to find out is where it all went. Most of it's disappeared by now. What happened is the universe continued to expand. Initially, we'd say, as the creation hymn goes, the whole universe was in a hot, dense state. But then it expanded and cooled. And you can tell it's getting cooler because it's going from red to, can we show that again? This is at the peak of my PowerPoint abilities. It's getting bigger and colder, right? Red to blue, yeah. But you still see the electrons, the protons, the anti-electrons, anti-neutrons, and what have you. And then something very, very romantic happened. Each particle found its true soul mate. The electron found the anti-electron, the proton found the anti-proton, neutron found the anti-neutron, and they paired, they bonded. They found their true soulmate. But married life was passionate but short for these things. When a particle meets its antiparticle, it briefly sticks together and then, poof, it annihilates. In a flash of passion, there's nothing left but light. And this is what happened to most of the particles in the universe. Bang, bang, bang. All around the universe, electrons were finding electrons, anti-electrons, protons, anti-protons. As it turned out, almost all of the stuff in the universe disappeared. It just happened to be the case that, roughly speaking, for every 1 billion anti-electrons, there was 1,000,000,001 electrons. For every billion protons, there was 1,000,000,001 anti-protons. So after they had all sort of paired up and disappeared, there were left, and you can see them around here. It's actually kind of sad. Like every here, there, like these electrons, protons that couldn't find a date on the cosmic New Year's Eve. So who are these final few lonely particles that no one wanted? They're you. Explains a lot, doesn't it? Basically, these 1 part per billion of particles left over are what we call the universe today. So it used to be 1 billion times more stuff. Almost it all disappeared shortly after the Big Bang. Happily, this matching up, almost exactly the same, but not exactly the amount of the same. But happily, it wasn't exactly the same because of this sort of not quite perfect matchup. That's where we all came from. That's why we have stars and galaxies and Benson societies. And when I wake up in the middle of the night and thinking, what on earth is going on? This is what I think about. I think, why is it that this did not come? Why was it so close to perfect in a horrific sense, like perfectly, everything annihilating each other and there being nothing left, but not quite perfect. What came from this? So I'm going to take a little break from talking about this physics story and talk about sort of the other half of my life. I'm a researcher, but I'm also an educator. And actually, both of these sort of wooden figures are supposed to be me. You can tell because they're missing a left arm. And I sort of represent, I think of myself as, for many, many students, a sort of bookend for their University of Colorado experience. On one end, most of the classes I teach are freshmen, or at least we're aimed at freshmen. So in many cases, I am teaching the first class that someone takes when they come to the University of Colorado. As I'll explain later, I'm often also teaching the last class or the last educational experience someone has. I am the alpha and the omega. Okay. I added it up. Over the last 10 years, I've had about 2,000 University of Colorado freshmen and mostly young students in my classes. These aren't them, by the way, but there are 2,000 of them. And I love teaching these classes. So it works out to about 100 per semester. I try to bring a lot of energy to them, but I get a lot of energy back out of it because the young students, when they first walk through the door, they're so unjaded, they're so innocent, they're bubbling over with enthusiasm. I just derive I come back from teaching these classes and I feel energized. And I like to think that I helped steer a goodly number of students, often what I hope is a productive direction in their lives in the University of Colorado. So that's sort of half of what I do educationally. And then the other half is, so now people are about to leave. They're sort of call it like capstone experience at the University of Colorado. People who are getting various forms of advanced training in my lab, working sort of now on a much more one-on-one basis. And now over the last 10 years, it's been about 50 of those students. They're PhD students. They're actually post-PhD students. They're seniors doing honors theses. One way or another, working in the lab, not formally taking a class, but getting this sort of advanced experience. And these actually are pictures of those students. So where do they wind up, these students? Where are these students now? They're all over the place. Some of them are professors. I've been teaching here for 30 years, so some of them are now quite senior professors. Some of them work in national labs. I would say by far the majority of them are still here in the University of Colorado working in Colorado high-tech industry. Some of them have started their own companies. Other are bench scientists or engineers, CTOs, what have you, in various companies around the University of Colorado. And most of those people, more than half of those people who are working in high-tech industry are working in this area called quantum information and quantum computing. So, which is a booming business here in Colorado. Colorado is a national center for this kind of technology, which is sort of exploding these days. There's a bunch of recently, not in some cases not quite so recently, started companies. Honeywell, which is not a Colorado company, but it's spun off a brand new branch, which is a large facility in Broomfield, to make Broomfield the hub of the quantum front range. Okay, great. At this company, there are many hundreds of people work there, but like a heck of a lot of them used to work for me, or at least in my labs. So I'd love to tell you more about quantum computing and quantum information. It's not actually the topic of tonight's talk. This is a thoroughly overused phrase, but it is a new paradigm for computing. New paradigm, yeah. No, it really is. It's also very, very speculative. I'm not here to give you investment advice because I'm just going to tell you that it's very, very far out there. It may or may not work. Gazillions of dollars have gone into it, and it may yet not work. But it's extremely exciting. And but the real reason, it's very complicated to explain, but the real reason I don't want to explain it is that I don't actually do that stuff. That's not my research. And you might say, wait a minute, you just finished telling us that all of these students left your lab and went to work for these things. How could they, like you don't even know much about it, how could you be training them? And that's kind of what I want to talk about is how is it that all of my students are joining this this industry which didn't exist when I was a kid. I have no expertise in it because when I came to work at University of Colorado, it didn't work, so it didn't exist. So how is it they're able to participate in this? I should mention that there are many professors at University of Colorado who explicitly do quantum information and quantum computing, and I'll show you a picture of one later on. It's just not my particular jam. So how is it this happens? And to answer that question, I'm going to go back to this scientific question, which is, how is it, I'm going to answer the question of how do these students find their way into quantum information by telling you about what is it, how am I trying to think about this question of the original imperfection? How can we understand what happened 14 billion years ago? The dinosaurs were not anything like 14 billion years ago. They were 200 million years ago. But there's a problem in studying them, too, right? You can't interview them. You can't go see them. You can't take a time machine and look back. There were no like written records, not even on papyrus scrolls or anything like that. But we can study them. And I guess one of the main things is you see fossils. And, you know, the idea that you can see fossils of dinosaurs maps over into the ideas that can you see fossils of the Big Bang here on Earth today? And my belief and my hope is the answer to that is yes. And it comes back to this question of symmetries. The fact that there weren't exactly the same amount of protons as antiprotons is an asymmetry. Most of physics, most of nature is very, very symmetric. And it's only the interesting places are the little corners where you don't have perfect symmetry. This snowflake is a very symmetric thing, but I'm talking about smaller things. In physics, one symmetry, which we just finished talking about, is like electrons act just like anti-electrons, except we heard we don't, right? At 1 part per billion, they're not quite exactly the same, because that's why there's still a few electrons around. Another symmetry in physics is called parity reflection symmetry, but particles tend to look exactly the same if you look at them in the mirror. People do too. Most people, not perfectly. Most people, when you look in the mirror, you see something that looks pretty much like you do, except just flipped over. I'm an exception. I look in the mirror and I see someone who's missing a right arm, quite profoundly different from me. Interesting story. This physics, I'm looking at that sort of studying weird asymmetries. I started on this project back in 2004, 18 years ago. 2004 was actually the same year when I became a really asymmetric guy. So I sort of think about, you know, Captain Ahab, am I like chasing the white whale? You know, trying to figure out where this asymmetry came from, because I became asymmetric. Probably not. We don't want to psychoanalyze these things too much. So what we're looking for are, here I'm going to glide over a lot of stuff, because it's a little bit high-tech. Maybe not perfect. We've all had 2 glasses of wine. I have. It's probably not the right time to talk about why these things are connected to each other, but particle theorists say, we think there should be fossils. For the same reason, the same underlying physics reason that gave rise to the original asymmetry that allows us to exist, should mean that if we look at modern electrons, they shouldn't be perfectly symmetric if we look at them in the mirror. So let's zoom in and look at an electron. Don't worry, this is about all the physics you're going to have to live with. There's Mr. Electron. He's friendly. You can tell how friendly he is. He used to be so friendly he was in Comic Sans, but I see we've gone to Ariel by now, so he's still pretty friendly. He's a charged particle, or she's a charged particle. I don't even know. It's a charged particle. It spins, and because it's spinning, it generates a magnetic field. It's got a north pole and a south pole. When you stick a bar magnet onto your refrigerator, the reason why it sticks is that it's full of electrons, and the electrons and north poles and south poles are all lined up. And the question is, are the North Pole, the South Pole, the same? On Earth, they're quite different. You know, the North Pole looks like sea ice. The South Pole looks like mountains. On the North Pole, they have polar bears. South Pole's got penguins. If you see polar bears and penguins together in a picture, you know where you are? In the zoo, right? Yeah. There's no place on Earth where that would happen. The Earth, it's easy to tell the North Pole away from the South Pole. We think the electron, the North Pole and the South Pole, shouldn't be exactly the same. If they are different, it's a huge clue for this origin of the universe question that bugs me so much. But every time someone goes and tries to measure the difference between the North Pole and the South Pole, they seem to be really, really, really similar. And no one has ever been able to see the difference. If they are different, it ain't by much. It's like 1 part in one with 15 zeros, so one part in a quintillion or something. These things are really, really symmetric, but we really think it shouldn't be. And so basically, I've got in my lab a very large research undertaking trying to tell the North Pole and the South Pole of the electron away from each other. It's a hard project. In my previous life, I used to make the world's coldest stuff. Serene generously mentioned, we had made the world's coldest stuff, won a Nobel Prize. That was a much, much easier way to earn a living. This current project is much harder than that. But we're making a lot of progress. I want to come back to what this has to do with my students going off and having success in this very, very high-tech, cutting-edge stuff. And where the connection is that trying to tell the difference of the North Pole and the South Pole apart at 1 part in 10 to the 15, and 1 part in a quintillion, is really, really hard. And to do it, you have to be good at everything. When the students come and join my lab, I tell them, my goal for you is by the time you leave my lab with a PhD 5 years from now, I want you to be an all-around technological badass. I want you to walk with swagger into the laboratory, think there is no problem which is too hard for you to solve. That is my goal for you. And to help you achieve it, I'm going to give you a really hard problem. And so I'm not going to tell about how these experiments work. I'm actually going to be around afterwards and hanging out, maybe having a drink out there. Happy to chat with people if people are interested. But it involves lasers, it involves vacuums, it involves high sensitivity electronics, almost anything you might sort of think of as being part of high-tech physical stuff happens in this lab. Here's some pictures of the stuff. There's a precision machine device. I'll just introduce you to some of the people who I think are currently most useful in working on this stuff. One on the far right there is Jun Yi. Jun Yi is my favorite physics professor. He's, I think, one of the premier faculty here. He's the world's best laser spectroscopist. He makes clocks which keep time to 1 second in the age of the universe. He does all kinds of things. I'm proud to call him my friend. We've been working on this project together for many years. I'll introduce the 3 senior students who actually sort of run things in the lab. They get anxious when I come into the lab because they're worried I'm going to break things. They're probably right. There's Tanya, Luke, and Xiaobun. And I thought I'd mention in particular Antonio Vigil, who just graduated with a bachelor's degree, summa cum laude, then his honors thesis in my lab, working on this project, designing the cryogenic envelope for the chamber, and was the College of Arts and Sciences outstanding graduate in December. So we're very proud of Antonio. Okay, go Antonio. I don't know if you like Game of Thrones. I used to watch Game of Thrones. This joker here would say, who was not much of a sword fighter, but was all the same a very formidable guy, saying, mine needs a book because a sword needs a whetstone. I'd like to sort of tinker with that a little bit and say, a future technology leader in training needs a worthy technology challenge as a sword needs a whetstone. That's really what we're about, I think, is besides trying to answer this question, which is really, really hard, of what is the origin, how can we understand this fundamental asymmetry that gave rise to the universe? In working on those things, I'm hoping that the students will come out of this thinking there's no problem which is too hard for me to solve. Let me at it. If I have to invent a technique to do it, then that's just what I'll do. Those are the students who are getting sort of snapped up into this quantum information revolution here in the University of Colorado, because it is really, really hard, this quantum information problem. It may or may not work. If it works, it's going to set all of computing on its ear. If it doesn't, it's going to have been a glorious failure, and that's going to be exciting too. In any case, they need to do these things super, super, super top-notch people. And I think that's what's coming out of the University of Colorado, not just my lab, but many labs where people are, in many cases, not doing quantum information, but encountering serious problems right at the edge of what's possible to do. And that's, I feel like, in some senses, my most important product coming out of my lab. Here again are those sets of students. There's a picture of the kind of apparatus that they build, straight out of scratch with their bare hands. This is the kind of lasers and pulse sequencing they have to do. If you want to hear more about this, I'm going to be hanging out after the presentations out there. Come and talk to me. I really appreciate your attention and everything that you have done for this university. Thank you very much.
Back by popular demand, ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome to the stage Face.
Jun Jun. Whoa, Jun Jun. Bum bum Jun Jun. Jun Jun. Jun Jun. Ooh, 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 Jun Jun. Did he want? Jun Jun. Did he want? Jun Jun. Jun Jun. Jun Jun. Jun Jun.
Flat top, he come grooving up slowly. He got juju eyeballs, he want holy roller. He's got hair down to his knee. Got to be a joker, he just do what he please. Shot, he got toe jam football, he got monkey finger, he shoot Coca-Cola, he said, I know you, you know me. One thing I can tell you is you've got to be free. Come together right now over me. He got walrus gumboot, he got oh no sideboard, he want spinal cracker, he got feet down below his knee. Hold you in his armchair, you can feel his disease. Come together right now over me. Coaster, he got early warning, he got muddy water, he wants mojo filter, he say 1 and 1 and 1 is 3. Got to be good looking cause it's so hard to see. Come together right now over me. Come together over me, come together. Over me, come together, 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 come together. Right now, over me.
Wow. Thank you all so much. This is awesome. Thank you so much for having us again. We are Face Vocal Band. We are from Boulder, Colorado. It is such a thrill to be here with you in person. More on that later. But again, we're Face Vocal Band. So we're based in Boulder because we were founded in Boulder, and we have very deep roots with the University of Colorado, specifically the Boulder campus. Our two founders were named Ben Lundstedt and Joseph Damasi. They both met and started singing a cappella at CU. They recruited us shortly after we all graduated. We were all singing in different a cappella groups on campus, active in the music scene through the music school, things like that. And since then, the two founders have left the group only because one is a research scientist studying RNA and DNA. The other one is doing stuff with cutting-edge laser technology. So they left the musicians, and we now do this full-time. I mentioned the four of us attended CU Boulder. Mark went to Northwestern, which is in Chicago. It's not even in the Northwest. So anyway, we'll try not to pay him too much attention this evening. But it's really awesome to be here. We're all so proud of our University of Colorado roots and everything, all the seeds that were planted there, not only for us, as a cappella, but as a successful business, people working together, being creative and trying to make a full-time living out of this. So it's an honor to represent CU in that way, to be here celebrating and honoring here with you. And we're going to keep things going. We do all vocal rock music. We've been at it for over 20 years. In that time, we've had some really neat opportunities. We got to open for a number of really big artists. We've opened for, let's see, can I rattle this off? Robin Thicke, we've opened for Bon Jovi, we've opened for the Wailers, we've opened for Boy George. But one time, we had an incredible artist open for us. We were doing a festival in Fort Collins, and Blondie, you guys know Blondie from the 80s? Technically, she opened for us. We did the first show on the Sunday morning. She played the headliner slot on Saturday night on the same stage. But we updated our Wikipedia page really quickly, because that counts. So we're going to do a little Blondie for you, and you'll notice we're all of the male persuasion, so it makes the most sense to let our bass sing the lead on this one. He's the blondest. Here we go.
Color me your color, baby. Color me your color. Color me your color, darling. I know who you are. Come up off your color chart. I know where you're coming from. Call me on the line. Call me anytime. Call me my love. You can call me any day or night. Call me. Cover me with kisses, baby. Cover me with love. And roll me in designer shits. Never get enough. Well, emotions come, I don't know how. Cover up love's alibi. Call me on the line. Call me anytime. Call me my love. When you're ready, we can share the wine. Call me. He speaks the languages of love. Amore, chiamami. Appelle-moi, mon chéri. Appelle-moi. Anytime, any place, anywhere, anyway. Anytime, any place, anywhere, any day. Call me, my love. Call me anytime. Call me for a ride. You can call me for some overtime. Call me, my love. You can call me in a sweet desire. Call me. Call me.
Thank you so much. We were technically here for the gala last year. It was in a very different form. We were able to work it out so that just a few weeks before it was supposed to happen, we recorded well, I guess it's not a live stream. It's a video. That's how that works. But we recorded a video of ourselves singing in an undisclosed location in Forrest's basement. And we were very happy to still be able to be here in some form. And after 2 years of trying to still do music in that way with no clapping afterwards, it feels a lot better to be doing this for actual human beings again. So we're so happy to be here, truly, truly. Appreciate it. And what we're going to do next for you here is, it's the oldest song we do. It's actually a little piece of Americana. This song originally has roots back to the 1800s. It was popularized, however, in the 60s by a British group called the Animals. And we are going to take this back to its American folk roots. This is our version of House of the Rising Sun. There is a house in New Orleans they call the Rising Sun, and it's been the ruin of many a poor boy. Thank God, I know I'm one. Oh, my mother was a tailor. She sewed my new blue jeans. My father was a gambling man down in New Orleans. Oh mother, tell your children not to do what I have done. Spend my life in sin and misery in the house of the rising sun, rising sun, 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 rising sun, sun, rising sun, sun, rising sun. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Driver on the arrangement and the solo.
That anthropology degree is really paying off.
I was going to say, not a music major, an anthropology major. What is anthropology?
I
Sorry,
don't know anymore. What I do know is that you should never get a major in something that has the word apology in it.
So, Stephen mentioned that we've 20 years we've been at this. We're in our Mark, correct me if I'm wrong. 21st year we're in. Correct.
We are
right now. Yes. So,
we started when we were 5.
Yeah. It truly was the fabric of the a cappella and music community at CU that allowed us to, start our journey as Face. The founding members, obviously, from CU, and then, just rubbing elbows with each other during our individual times on campus. And then somebody knew Mark. I'm not sure exactly how that happened, but...
I just walked in one day.
Yeah. Hey, guys. But, we just started rehearsing in a small room, and eventually we liked our sound enough. We went down to the Pearl Street Mall, put out a hat, start singing for tips, really, really bad tips. Yeah, we just kind of kept at it. We played the Redfish down on Pearl Street Mall. I don't know if you're familiar with the old Redfish down there, but that was kind of our first home. And then we used to play the farmers markets. And then we got kicked out of the farmers markets, I remember. But it wasn't because anything was going wrong. It was because the crowds were growing and the vendors it was too congested for the vendors to do the work that they wanted to do, so they asked us to leave. So, and then in 2009, we had our big break. We were placed on the NBC's #1 rated show, the Sing Off, which had a good run for 3 or 4 years. In fact, we are the first group ever to be voted off of NBC's #1 rated show, the Sing Off. No one can take that from us. But we didn't give up. We came back to Boulder, and we dusted our shoulders off. We kept playing bars and gigs and galas and weddings. And then in 2015, we had enough of a supporter base in Colorado. We funded a Kickstarter campaign to do our first European tour. And when we went out there, we made a bunch of friends out in Europe, and we've been back about 5 times now. We've played all over Europe, Russia, Australia. We were supposed to debut in Singapore in 2020. Something came up. So that didn't happen, but we were supposed to make our Carnegie Hall debut in 2020 as well, but that didn't happen, obviously. And we actually just did make our Carnegie Hall debut like a week and a half ago. So that was. Thank you. It's been an incredible run, and while Carnegie Hall is an amazing place, I think we're most proud of our work here in Colorado, where we've actually headlined Red Rocks Amphitheater twice as a hometown band. And I'll just because we're tight here and we're friends, I'll tell you how it happened. There's contests. Sometimes you can get in front of a national act, if you know a friend or somebody in the industry. That didn't happen for us. We tried for like 15 years, and that just didn't work. So what did we do? How did we do it? We rented the venue, and we threw our own party, and it worked out. And it worked out so well, we did it again. So anyway, but none of this happens without the University of Colorado. And none of this happens without the kind of support that's here in this room. And so we are so appreciative to be here with you in community. And now we're going to do a little amalgamation, a medley of some songs from a band that we like. This one's not really about you. You probably haven't heard of this band, sort of a lesser known band from the 70s. And I'll just leave it at that. Maybe if you know one of these songs, feel free to sing along. Otherwise, just sit back and relax. We don't care. Is this the real life? Is this just fantasy? Caught in a landslide, no escape from reality. Open your eyes, look up to the skies and see. I'm just a poor boy, I need no sympathy. Because I'm easy come, easy go, little high, little low. Any way the wind blows doesn't really matter to me. To me. Don't stop me
having a good time. I'm having a good time. I'm a shooting star leaping through the sky like a tiger, defying the laws of gravity. I'm a racing car passing by like Lady Godiva. I'm gonna go, go, go. There's no stopping me. I'm burning through the sky, yeah. 200 degrees, that's why they call me Mr. Fahrenheit. I'm traveling at the speed of light. I wanna make a supersonic man out of you. Don't stop me now. I'm having such a good time. I'm having a ball. Don't stop me now. If you wanna have a good time, just give me a call. Don't stop me, 'cause I'm having a good time. Don't stop me, yeah, I'm having a good time. Don't wanna stop at all. Are you gonna take me home tonight? Oh, down beside that red firelight. Are you gonna let it all hang out? Strong, independent women, you make the rockin' world go round. I see what you did there. You flipped it and it. Yeah. I like it better.
Sorry, Freddie. We fixed your song.
Little update.
This thing I call love. Well, I just can't handle it. This thing I call love. Well, I must get around to it. I ain't ready. The crazy little thing called love. This thing I call love. Well, it cries like a baby. In a cradle all night it swings. It jives. It shakes all over like a jellyfish, but I like it. A crazy little thing called love. A crazy little thing called love. Crazy little thing called love. Din, 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 din.
Each morning I get up, I die a little. Can barely stand on my feet.
Take a look at yourself in the mirror and cry.
Lord, what you doing to me? I spent all my years believing you, but I just can't get no relief, Lord.
Somebody,
Can anybody find me somebody to love?
Somebody to love, find me 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 somebody to love, somebody, ha, 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 ha.
And we are the champions, my friend. And we'll keep on fighting till the end. We are the champions. We are the champions. No time for losers, 'cause we are the champions of the world.
Steve walks warily down the street with his brim pulled way down low. Ain't no sound but the sound of a seat. Machine guns ready to go. Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Are you hanging on the edge of your seat? Out of the doorway, the bullets are ripped to the sound of the beat. Another one bites the dust. Boom, boom, boom. Another one bites the dust. And another one gone, and another one gone. Another one bites the dust. Hey, I'm gonna get you too. Another one bites the dust.
All right, everybody. Are you having a good time so far? Okay. We need to ask us a favor. Will you help us out here? Okay. All right. Do like this. You're gonna go stomp, stomp. There you go.
Buddy, you're a boy, make a big noise playing in the street. Gonna be a big man someday. You got mud on your face, you big disgrace. Kicking your can all over the place. Singing, we will rock you. Sing it, we will rock you, rock you. Buddy, you're a young man, hard man, shouting in the street. Gonna take on the world someday. I got blood on your face, you big disgrace. Somebody better put you back into your place. We will rock you.
Dust.
Sing it, we will rock you, rock you. We will rock you.
Dust.
We will.
How do you think I'm gonna get along without you when you're gone? You took me for everything that I had, and you kicked me out of my own. Are you happy? Are you satisfied? How long can you stand the heat? Out of the zone where the bullets are rip to the sound of the beat. Another one bites the dust, singing we will. Another one bites the dust, and another one gone, and another one gone. Another one bites the dust. Hey, I'm gonna get you too. Another one bites the dust.
There's no time for us. There's no place for us. What is this thing that builds on dreams yet slips away from us? Who wants to live forever? Who wants to live forever? And we can have forever, and we can love forever. Forever is our today. Who wants to live forever? Who wants to live forever? Forever is our today. Any way the wind blows.
Thank you. And that's my queen.
Spoiler.
I think this is true. I think every member of Queen, I think they were all CU graduates.
Yes, I believe that's true.
They were at the Colorado Springs campus, I
Freddie,
believe.
Freddie transferred.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's ASU,
Yes.
CU.
Yeah.
That's right.
Sun Devil to
Yeah, yeah. Sports medicine, I think.
Benson Society, thank you so much. I'm going to just interrupt them or they were going to keep going. Thank you again for having us back. Seriously, the biggest compliment in the world is not just to play for you, but after you seen us on the screen last year, to actually invite us back again this year live and in person. We couldn't thank you enough. Thank you so much. I guess I have to apologize for not having gone to CU Boulder.
It's not too late.
It explains a lot.
It's not too late. I like that, Forrest. It's not too late.
I'm not optimistic.
I grew up in Kansas. I apologize for that frequently as well. But I've called Boulder County my home since 1994. Although I'm not a native, I'm not a native. I have created one. He's now 16. And seriously, we are a Colorado band. We're a Boulder band. We wear that proudly everywhere we go when we travel around the world. We always say Boulder, Colorado. They're like, where? We're like, Rocky Mountains. They're like, yeah, got it. And so very, very, very proud of where we're from. And I got to tell you, even going to a Big Ten school like I did with all that tradition and all the cool stuff that has, nothing compares at a home game at CU Boulder when Ralphie comes out and runs around the track like that. That is the greatest college football opening in the world. I love it. So anyway, we do have one more tune for you, but thank you again. We are Face Vocal Band. You can find us online, facevocalband.com. We are starting to play again, like all the time. We have a great summer calendar that we're looking forward to. We play all of the outdoor festivals and stages and all that good stuff. So hopefully you'll keep in touch, and we'll see you again. We're going to close with another great one from the 80s. This movie was an 80s anthem, and this is sort of the theme song from the movie. So once again, we are Face. Thank you very much. We'll see you around.
About me, I'll be alone, dancing, you know it, baby. Tell me your troubles and doubts, giving me everything inside and out. And love strange, so real in the dark. Think of the tender things that we were working on. Slow change may pull us apart. When the light gets into your heart, baby, don't you forget about me. Don't you forget about me. Will you stand above me, look my way, and never love me? Rain keeps falling down, down, down. Will you recognize me? Call my name, then walk on by me. Rain keeps falling down, 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 down. It's my feeling well, when in the end I won't harm you or touch your defenses, vanity and security. So don't you forget about me. I'll be alone, I'll be dancing, you know it, baby. Going to take you apart. I'll put us back together at heart, baby. Don't you forget about me. Oh, don't you forget about me. As you walk on by, will you call my name? As you walk on by, will you call my name when you walk away? Benson Society, did you have a good time tonight? I'll tell you what, my name's Stephen Ross. I graduated class of 03 music education, and I happen to know, based on experience, that CU, Denver, Colorado Springs all have strong music programs. A lot of them are full of non-majors. And as such, I need you all to sing with us right now. Ends with the big finale. The words are la, 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 la. Are you ready? Here we go. 1, 2, 3. I said la, 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 la. Put your hands together. Benson Society, University of Colorado supporters, thank you so much for being here tonight and for having us. We are Face Vocal Band. We're going to send it back to the MC here. Thank you again. Good night.
I feel called to conclude today's formal program in the same way that I started it. I am so deeply honored and grateful to be here. I am who I am because of who you all are. Your passion, your vision, and your generosity are what allows students like myself to live out big dreams, dreams that our younger selves would be so proud of. Thank you for attending tonight, for humoring me and my non-humorous jokes, and for being the best audience ever. Now, you already know that I cannot get back on my flight to the UK tomorrow without a new wallpaper on my phone to commemorate this beautiful evening. So, without further ado, I ask for everyone to please indulge me in what the youngsters nowadays call a selfie. All you have to do is smile, I promise. Keep smiling. I see you, table number 4, not smiling. Now, it would not be a CU event if we did not have a final hurrah and a little bit more exercise. So what we're going to do is an arm wave to commemorate this beautiful evening of celebration. When my arm reaches your part of the audience, I want to see a wave. Not a wave, a wave. Can we do that? All right, and I'm doing this in heels. Are you ready? Okay. Wow, give yourselves a round of applause. That was awesome. Now, it would not be a CU event if we did not celebrate the celebration. So please, join us in the foyer for coffee, drinks, and desserts. I look forward to connecting with each and every one of you and continuing tonight to build connections with this CU family. Thank you all. Have a wonderful journey and safe travels home.